Grab a cup and let's spill the tea. Your unabridged connection to mainstream news here on WHIP Radio, Philly's #1 college radio station. Hey everyone, and welcome to the very first pilot episode of my new podcast, The Tea. I'm Jon Dowding, and just a little bit about myself. So I am a junior journalism and Spanish double major with a minor in political science. Everything in my life pretty much is around journalism because it's one of my loves, and hopefully I can get a job in journalism when I graduate. My ultimate goal keeps consistently changing. Right now, it would be to do something along with reporting politics, that kind of thing. But honestly, as long as I'm reporting, I'm happy. So that's pretty much who I am, and I hope you guys enjoy my podcast series. So basically, the tea is just about you and your friends may meet up, come together. You may have hot gossip about somebody, and so us millennials nowadays, the new slang that the new kids are calling it is the tea, saying you have tea on somebody, you have knowledge of somebody, you know of something that somebody or something is doing or has happened, and you cannot wait to spill the tea. So this whole podcast is going to be about the tea that I have on the government and national policy, states occasionally, but mainly focusing on a more national scale. Basically, my whole reasoning for doing this podcast was I just feel that some journalists aren't saying enough or not saying a lot, and I just feel like I have a lot to say. I don't shut up. All of my friends will agree that I don't shut up. So I figure, why not have an outlet, a medium to voice my opinions and my thoughts, and here we are. So let's go right into my first topic I've written down. It's talking about how some people are finally starting to play nice in DC. It's so sweet, and their parents didn't even have to make them do it. So the Democrats and President Trump, after months of sparring, have somehow been able to get along yesterday and work together. Mainly President Trump and the top two Democratic congressional leaders, Senator Chuck Schumer and House Minority Leader Nancy Pelosi. Basically, what happened was, the reason for this is that President Trump voiced his support for two big Democratic issues. The first being ending the frequent, consistent battles over the debt ceiling, which seem to go on almost every year, as well as saying he wants to salvage the DACA program, which is the program that was enacted under President Obama as an executive order. And basically, what happens is Jeff Sessions announced in the beginning of this week that President Trump will be ending it, but basically they will be handing the program over to Congress, so Congress can figure out the fate of the program. Now, President Trump tweeted at the request of Nancy Pelosi. She asked him to do this, and it was very cordial, according to most reports. But President Trump tweeted, "For all those DACA that are concerned about your status during the 6-month period, you have nothing to worry about, no action." So that's pretty good that he's saying we are going to salvage it. And it's kind of nice because he has voiced his support for DACA in the past. I recently saw clips online from CNN, a bunch of big outlets of him in the past talking about those issues on the shows. And it's kind of nice to show that he does want to support it. Obviously, the whole thing genuinely surprised and angered, it surprised Democrats and angered Republicans. So obviously the Democrats see this as a major first step towards actually working and cooperating with the president. Literally, this is the first time since November 10th, or not really November 10th, January 21st, that Democrats have been able to work with President Trump on something. And I mean, it's only been a day, so everybody needs to chill out and stop jumping the gun. But, I mean, it's still an awesome thing that happened. The president, like I said, Democrats should calm down about this, honestly, because Nancy Pelosi was saying this is a great first step and that this is going to make his presidency by him working together with us more. And I agree with her, but at the same time, you have to take it one day at a time. I would like to say that President Trump is a day-by-day president in the sense that President Trump's opinions, his actions, obviously vary day by day. I mean, if you work in the White House right now, you are not safe, pretty much. Look at all the people who have left. Only person who's still there is Pence, for now. Anyway, and honestly, I feel like his response to I want to salvage DACA could have something to do with the 15 states and the District of Columbia filing a federal lawsuit against the federal government. So they announced they're going to end DACA. So there's that. Honestly, too, Democrats, y'all need to chill, because with Senator Bob Menendez in the hot seat, you were just looking for any news to talk about and to publish about to defray the attention from him and distract the attention from him, because he is currently facing bribery charges. So that's all I have to say about that. That's the tea on the Democrats needing to chill out. Now, I have some other tea about yesterday. Betsy DeVos, the Secretary of Education, announced that she's going to rescind Obama's Title IX sexual assault guidelines. So this drew a lot of criticism in the media because people were saying she doesn't care about women's lives on campus. Women are now at threat for being attacked and being raped, and sadly, that threat exists all the time. However, her reasoning for doing so makes a little bit more sense when it's explained. So basically, DeVos just wants to rewrite the guidelines because, according to her, as well as some law professors and civil libertarians, they believe that the rhetoric currently laid out in Title IX allows for people to almost cry wolf in a sense. So basically, it actually allows for a disregard for due process and the creation of another class of victim. And according to those people, the other class of victim would be those accused of sexual assault who are also denied fair hearings and are wrongly punished for that. So basically, they are trying to protect the people who, like I said, people who have cried wolf on them. So right now, the legislation is in a notice and comment period, which basically just means that the public can say, we like this legislation, we don't like this legislation, and they just get public opinion first. And before they make any further decisions, they weigh the comments from the public and then they'll act on it. So basically, that's where it is right now. Devil's advocate over here, though. Just look at the Stanford rape case. The man who committed the crime in the Stanford rape case basically served no time. If I remember correctly, it was about 3 months or so. And he still just was able to walk because he was a first-time offender and he was a good kid. That's just rude. And that's horrible for the victim. And honestly, too, I believe that the current legislation was put in forth to protect the victim because society did nothing to protect the victim, first of all. Second of all, this happened just last night. I read it, one of the news tweets popped up in Philadelphia. A woman was attacked around LaSalle's campus by a group of men. The report didn't say if she was raped or sexually assaulted. All that it had said was that she was attacked. The thing is, once you rescind programs like this, it almost gives people a reason to do it. It gives people a reason to say, well, if we're not going to be persecuted as harshly as we would have been, well, there's no repercussions from doing it. I'm honestly very interested in seeing where this case goes because, not the case, where Betsy DeVos takes this, because it's going to be very interesting, the new rhetoric and the new diction she's going to use to rewrite this. I think it's going to definitely cause a lot of controversy because it is already on a fine line. You're dealing with sexual assault victims, especially young sexual assault victims, and the whole issue of binge drinking and being under the influence, and that is when a lot of sexual acts, especially unwanted sexual acts, will occur. So I think it's going to be very interesting to see where her department and the administration does go with this new legislation and the new amending to Title IX. So speaking of the new, here's some new tea from Fox right now. Fox News, hold your horses, everyone. Fox News is admitting that climate change helped make Irma super strong. Can you believe that? I literally thought I read that headline wrong when I first saw it. It comes from Quartz, if anybody else wants to look into it. Quartz.com. They are talking about how Fox News admitted global warming had an effect on the creation of Hurricane Irma. So here's a little background for you. Go back to your 4th grade science classes. I think it was like earth science and stuff like that when you learned about like hurricanes and tornadoes and everything. Should be a flashback to 4th grade because I don't know about you, but I definitely remembered everything from my 4th grade science class. So this is talking about how hurricanes are formed. So basically, hurricanes are fueled by warmer waters, seeing that when water is warmer, it can evaporate and more of that water can go into the atmosphere and then therefore be brought back down through, the whole water cycle, evaporation, and then it comes down and precipitation, the oceans. So it comes back down. So basically, hurricane is the fire. The fuel to that fire of a hurricane is warm water. So the only way a hurricane kind of loses its strength is when more colder water is brought to the surface, because as the top layer is evaporating, obviously more water from the lower layers of water are coming up, and obviously they'll vary in temperature. However, there's a raise in water temperatures are providing more water at lower levels in the ocean, and therefore able to fuel these hurricanes more and create these bigger and more immense hurricanes. Personally, I think it's hard to deny. Especially right now, first was Harvey. Then you had there are three separate hurricanes in the Atlantic right now: Irma, Katia, and Jose. So there's a lot of stuff going on right now. Can't be a coincidence. Something has to be going on. However, some climate change skeptics, or climate change deniers, pretty much, are saying that a slow jet stream is to blame for this. They say that a slow jet stream is the reason as to why there's so many of these mass, immense hurricanes and frequent hurricanes that have been occurring in the Atlantic. You had Hurricane Sandy, Irene, and like I said before, Harvey, and all of these hurricanes. So they're saying it's a slow jet stream. Listen, I'm a person where, first of all, I'm a journalist. So I like looking at facts. Facts are, Earth is getting hotter. Everybody's getting hotter. I know myself. I am walking around on campus, and it will be, I remember freshman year on Christmas. That was Christmas 2015, and it was 60 degrees on Christmas. 50 or 60 degrees on Christmas. It was not white, and all I remember was I didn't even need a jacket that year, and that freaked me out. And I just love talking to like my parents, my aunts, my uncles, and my grandparents about what changes they've seen. And my mom even says it too. My mom is an advocate of the fall. Honestly, if my mom was a teenage girl right now, she would probably be the biggest pumpkin spice latte white Starbucks girl in the world, because my mom loves the fall. Like, that's her favorite time of the year. And she said it. She's like, fall is just disappearing. It goes from like 80-degree weather and then like a couple days of like 60, 70, and then 40 degrees. And you're like, fall? Hello? And it just feels like the trees, instead of like the cute little one leaf at a time, it's just like the whole tree is just like zoom, and then all the leaves just fall off. So I definitely think there's evidence around us that global warming is causing a lot of issues, and it's causing a lot of these massive weather systems. You can't deny it. I mean, I personally think you can't deny it. You know, people have their own beliefs, but like, it's there, people. Read the signs, read the weather, and you know what? That's the tea I got for you today. Thank you so much for joining. Tune in next week on another episode of The Tea, where I talk about who knows what's going to be going on in a week's time. I could just imagine. Maybe Donald Trump will switch his party to Democrat. That would be absolutely hilarious. I would literally like just die laughing. But anyway, who knows what'll happen next week. Thanks so much for listening. As always, I'm Jon Dowding on The Tea, reporting for WHIP Radio News, Philly's #1 college radio station. Thanks, everyone.